My name is Vijay Bhandari. I'm a Chief Operating Officer of Noesis Capital. Noesis Capital is India's leading and the largest hotel investment advisory company, which deals in operator search, contract negotiation, capital raising, consulting and valuation, and buying and selling of hotels. We established in 2010, and in last 11 years, we have concluded more than 2,000 plus assignments. On the behalf of Noesis Capital, I welcome you all in eHotelier Summit 2020. Today's topic of panel discussion is conversion, a way forward for independent, mid-scale and boutique hotels. In last 2 and 3 months, we have been interacting with a lot of hotel owners to understand the pain points and propose them a feasible solution. And we find conversion will be one of them. Through this discussion, we walk you through the journey of hotel owner from selecting the right brand to negotiate the LOI and HMA, and what process goes till the rebranding of hotel. We will unfold in this discussion. For this discussion, we have India's leading development professionals and deal makers and brand custodians. With this note, please welcome our first panelist, Azeez Narain, Head of Business Development and Strategy, Ginger Hotel. Aziz, can you say hi to the audience, please?
Hi, everyone.
Hi. Our second panelist is Cyrus Madan, Chief Operating Officer, Carnation Hotel, a part of Lemon Tree Group. Cyrus, can you say hi to the panel, to the audience?
Hi.
Our third panelist is Santhosh Kutty, Chief Operating Officer, Hotels, Mahindra Holidays and Resort.
Hi.
Yeah. And our fourth panelist is Suhail Kannampilly, CEO of Fern Hotels and Resort.
Hi, guys.
So welcome on the board, panelists. My first question is with Cyrus. Cyrus, what kind of deals we are seeing in the market nowadays, business development deals?
So in the span of last 60 odd days, going up to 75 days, all the conversations which had been going on at that time had in the management space had begun to peter out. Some people were still hanging on, but in the last 2 weeks, there's a revival of discussion. So I would say that there's a 40% revival of conversation which has started, going up to 50%. On the buy side, we are still getting the odd, 5 or 6 calls which are happening officially, which is through, but the valuations still haven't reached a haircut discussion. It's still people who are trying to, propose products or hotels which are not showing the right valuation.
Okay. So Santosh, coming to you, like, where do you see the silver line in this challenging times?
These are challenging times, of course. So all of us know that this is like once in a lifetime experience, right? So in my view, there are probably 3 parts to this. One is, this is a great opportunity in my view to reinvent. There is no better opportunity. This crisis is the best CTO we could have got. Correct. So everything is fast forward from digitization, technology, reinventing stuffing to reinventing products, reinventing services. What better time and what better thing can we expect than this to happen? That's one. The second is, if you are a hotel owner, best time to enter the business in the last 20 years is now. Because this is the time when, if you want to own assets, this is the time to own assets. Because not now, probably like, Cyrus said, probably next 8, 10, 12 months, 18 months, you will see a lot of assets come in by. You see, the way I see acquisitions, there is something called as, pre-COVID assets, I would say, and, post-COVID assets. Post-COVID assets, 8 to 18 months. Pre-COVID assets, valuation, I will disagree with Cyrus. It is dipping. It is dipping by 15, 20% already. So great time to enter the business, from that perspective. A lot of us would say that don't do leases. Of course, you don't do leases. Be practical about it, that there is no business for the next 6 to 8 months. But do take some risks, to get to if you are getting into the business through whatever route that you want to intend to. So I'm saying, if you want to enter the business, this is a watershed moment. If you want to reinvent, and you would have to, then this is a watershed moment. Those are the silver linings here.
Good. Sohail, coming to you, what are the future trends you are seeing in the development side, and where the new growth corridors and where the new room nights demand is coming from?
So effectively, it's a little early to say where new demand is coming from because demand itself has dried up completely. Uh, we're just starting to see a little bit of bounce back in demand. I think hotels were officially allowed to open on June 8th, and speaking to our partners and friends in the industry, OTA businesses, there is demand picking up in the metro cities. Effectively, I think Hyderabad, Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi, these are the cities that have seen some demand pick up. We've also seen some demand pick up in terms of banqueting. So interesting discussion with a person, friend of mine from Raymond's. He's saying most of the business that they've done in the last 2 months has effectively been wedding business. They've had people buying clothing for weddings. And we saw that as soon as the hotels were allowed to open up. We've just done our first 50 packs wedding function. Okay. So socially distanced wedding. And we've got three more lined up in Bhavnagar itself. So that market is pent up demand that is looking to bounce back. But in terms of new
Sohail,
creation, I think it's a little early to say where it's coming from.
okay. So which are the new growth corridors you are seeing, like where you can rank some new city which is coming up, where you see there's a lot of demand and there's a virgin market where hotel owners to enter, or either hotel owners to build there?
So as I said, it's too early to say a new market because effectively the current markets that are there have all dried up. But
Okay.
going forward, there is a potential for leisure. In terms of leisure is not going to have an immediate pickup, but the leisure market will bounce back very strongly in about 12 months. And then new destinations are going to really start doing well. We opened a property, I think, almost 8 months pre-COVID in a place called Polo Forest. It's an unknown destination completely. The hotel has surpassed all budgets, has been able to repay significant debt within the 8 months itself of operation. So there is a demand for unknown leisure destinations. In terms of business, there is no new destination coming up.
Okay. Coming to you, Aziz, when you sign a hotel management agreement, how do you make sure that you, like in the asset management side, how do you make sure that you are sweating the asset to the fullest?
So we some of our worthy competitors here have the unique position of being an owner and operator of our brands historically. What that means is that it's the same set of people who wear the hat of the owner for our own hotels and wear the hat of operators when we are running managed properties, and we run a lot of leased properties as well. So inherently, the need to see the problem from the other side and the opportunity from the other side is part of the DNA of the system. So whether it is looking at now in these times, very, very carefully looking at what our fixed costs are, which those are really can be mention of the hotel is opened, or how many hotels in a cluster are opened, renegotiating contracts, how you're sourcing, how much inventory you're keeping, all those things, really every day over the last 60, 70 days has pushed us into thinking harder, thinking deeper about how we are doing day-to-day business on the cost side especially. And that is essentially what is what we really help us see through this time. And then as things start looking better, we hope to institutionalize some of the things that we have been pushed to do even at this stage, and then work on as lean model as we can even going forward once the revenue is back on stream.
Okay. Coming to you, Cyrus, like how a brand will have a competitive edge over a standalone hotel post COVID, especially post COVID-19.
So I think it's been clearly established in the last 75 days that now this whole emphasis is going to be about who can provide you safety and security. And this is not to discredit individual hotel owners, but by and large, when there is a brand, the brand is reflective of a certain hygiene standard or a certain trust level. That is what creates the brand. A brand is all about trust. So
Sure.
therefore, the brand is able to attract more assurance, if you want to call it that, to be more successful in distressed times. And the brand puts in place not only through just the resources in terms of saying that you stipulate an SOP, you create an SOP, but the brand also then provides the training and the infrastructure behind it, and then make sure that it is being maintained to give the assurance to the customer that this is the right place to stay. So if you had the options of staying in a hotel which is a known hotel to you, the good quality, at the same time you had the assurance of staying in the same city in another hotel which is a brand hotel which is also known to you, given the two, you would probably spend a little bit more, but stay in the branded hotel because you are given a structure or a place to stay which is going to be committed to following certain guidelines. There will be no perceived or perceivable shortcuts in running that place. Basis what the brand has guaranteed to you by way of their reservation communication, etc. So you're sending across your house rules. You're saying this is how we're going to function going forward. This is what we're going to get. So there's a lot more substance around that. So I think that's how it will be different.
So Cyrus, going forward, we will see that safety and hygiene will be one of the important aspect. And if you are a branded hotel, you will be the first one to gain the trust of the guest.
Yes, that's true. So the point is this, that you will of course be the first one to gain the trust of the guest. It becomes a landmark amongst the other hotels which are unbranded, if I may say so. That that you're standing out saying, listen, this is what I'm doing. This is my hygiene and sanitation level. So yeah, for the next 18 months or so, brands are going to benefit by the fact that they have put in systems and measures in place which are across pan brand, whether owned or managed hotels, and that allows them to be a reassuring place to stay. Again, like I said, this is no commentary on unbranded hotels. We know enough people who are very high quality hotel owners who run very good hotels on their own, and you'd love to stay with them as well. But I'm talking about a majority of people. I would say the brand itself attracts the whole value system around hygiene and safety assurance.
So you are adding.
Yeah, sorry, just Vijay, just adding to what Cyrus is saying. Actually, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. And on our conversation with our OTA partners as well, they've seen that the hotel industry they've reached about a 2.5% level of what their pre-COVID level was. But in branded hotels, it's already reached 5%. So effectively double of the total market share. And that is just the proof of the pudding. It's the trust factor. That's what, as Cyrus was saying, it's the trust factor that's what's important.
Also, you'll see that a lot of the large corporates who you deal with are actually reaching out to basis their requirement, whether it is certain industries which have been open throughout this period, to actually approach large branded inventories to say that long stay business, etc., has been coming in, and many of these companies have their have their principles in European or US companies, where the stricture around how much they have to do is very, very, what are the precautions they have to take is very stringent. So naturally, they will want to put in their people with branded hotels.
Okay. So my next question is to all the panelists, that what advice you will give it to the boutique hotel owners, mid-scale hotel owners, and the standalone hotel owners? Can start with Cyrus or Suhail.
Suhail, why don't you go ahead?
In terms of advice, I think, look, we've all seen the struggles of the hospitality industry, and I think they, as individual hotel owners, know what struggles the industry faces better than most. Okay, because they get down to every little nook and corner of the struggle. My only thing would be that this is a short blip, like some people have called it, but effectively the industry will bounce back. It will bounce back strong. So it's a question of being a little patient, trusting that this will pass.
So I'll, yeah, Aziz, go ahead. Sorry.
No, after you. Go ahead, sir.
So I will, play to Vijay's question. Actually, probably Suhail, he was trying to ask you to ask him to convert. So I think, so to say it very simply, I think, look, ultimately, any business is about reach and distribution, right? And brands offer you that opportunity. And I understand, and we've been working with lots of owners, spoken to thousands of them in the last 7 years. You have various reasons for not giving your hotel to a brand. One is that you want to understand, you feel that the brand may not do a good job. You feel that brand may impose certain extra costs on you. You wonder what you would do without the hotel being under your control directly. I think if you were to just sit back and ask yourself that are you getting, for whatever fees you're paying, are you getting the best bang for your buck? And do you really want the daily hassle right from HR to statutory compliance to guest feedback and maintaining social media activity, etc.? It's probably your time is better spent somewhere else, because the hotel business at an operational level is not rocket science. So you are better off actually working with a brand where you then turn, and I like to often say that you turn an auditor and an investor of the business rather than being involved in the day-to-day operations, which frees up your time to utilize your business acumen in other businesses, maybe more hotels or maybe something else that you'd like to do. So yeah, in that sense, my advice would be is that if you think that this is the only thing that you would like to do, then that's fine. But otherwise, I think a brand can get you a lot of benefits for the fee that it gets you.
Aziz, you were adding something?
Yeah, so I don't know if advice is the right word, but a suggestion here to all the existing hotel owners or prospective standalone hotel owners is that, we always say that when you're building hotels, either someone's looking for return on investment or someone's looking for return on ego. This crisis really does tell everyone what are the vagaries of this business, and it's very important to be very prudent about what you are spending your money on when you're building a hotel. So if a brand is telling you that it doesn't make sense to put that crystal chandelier in the lobby because it's not going to get you 500 rupees more on your room rate, this is the time to take those kind of suggestions more seriously, because there is a whole bunch of people who do this day in and day out to really put together the standards, put together the specifications which are sensible. So it's time to be sensible about how you're investing in your hotels. That's one. And the other thing is that crisis is when you really also see the true character of individuals and companies really playing out. How people cope with the crisis is only something that you see when the crisis hits. And this is the time when all of us in the industry are being pushed hard to really tackle challenges which are of unprecedented nature. And you have to see who are there'll be companies which will really honor all their commitments. There'll be those who will try to find the first opportunity. I'm not suggesting anyone in particular. I'm just saying that when everyone's under a crisis, everyone will try to cover their themselves. So this is when you'll really see what stranding through thick and thin is all about, as owners, as operators, and for a relationship to be really sustainable and long term, both sides really need to be respectful and mindful of each other's prerogatives, each other's obligations and rights, and lay the foundation of the future years based on that. So it's the time to test relationships also, both sides and both ways.
Santosh, what's your suggestion to the hotel owners?
See, I have the benefit of all three of them having said all that they could. So nothing much to add. I think as a hotel owner, if I am a hotel owner, I would look at why am I wanting to tie up with a brand? What is the reason for me to tie up with a brand? Is it to bring me business? Is it to bring me credibility? Is it to bring, like I said, business distribution with? Is it to bring efficiency in operations? What is the real reason? Investigate that internally with you and with your investors, with your family. Do that first. Second is, in the hotel business, there are X amount of ways you can earn income, X amount of ways you can spend money. The question from for you, to which you can ask a brand is, how are they going to get you the business? How are they going to get you the distribution? How are they going to make sure that your hotels are profitable? If a brand is able to give you a return on the fees paid, then there is a reason to invest with the brand. If they're able to give you a return on, the credibility that you wanted, then there is a reason to invest with that brand. So today, when the margins are not there, for example, in expenses, you need to look at where can you actually reduce. Do you really want to pay, 5-6% as fees and get in return, say 15-20% more business, or you want to pay 10% and get credibility to, some of the brands? So those are the questions I would, think about, literally, because margins are very, very important. Like Azeez pointed out, making hotels, half the time the mistake is in making hotels where you overspend, and then you expect the operator to, get the money returned. The second part is take too much debt. Don't take too much debt. This business is a long business. You need to be in it for some time. So don't make those mistakes, and don't expect operators, I would say, to pay for it, but expect a fair return on whatever you are invested with the operator, and that is only fair. And operators should be, like all of us, should be able to provide that. Whether if we are global or Indian operators, I think margins are the most important thing. That's it.
Sure. So, yeah, Cyrus.
So just to add, it's interesting that how many people actually start hotel projects, get the shell ready, and then start looking for a brand. And at the same time, they've invested in the land, they've invested in the shell, they have thought of a plan, but they've gone to the wrong architect, they've gone to the wrong understanding of the business, they've not done a feasibility study. And then they have, once the shell is ready and they have kind of committed themselves to the business, at that time they start approaching a brand, and the brand says, hey, but what have you built? This is not going to be worth, this is not going to be not worth doing, but not, not going to be a good thing to do. And then you're reinventing the wheel on the existing structure. So I think for the greenfield people who may be on this webinar, my recommendation is that if you're setting out on a hotel project, take the right advice, and the right advice is for free. It doesn't require money. So if people on this panel, I'm sure, and people whom you may know, are happy to at least give you the first, advice, saying that, okay, reach out to these 5 people and get a feasibility done. Reach out to these architects and get a proper design understanding. Do a proper costing, because that is advice for free. You don't need to pay for that, but at least begin on that note. Don't go halfway into the hotel, because हमारे यहाँ तो ऐसे ही होता है, या हमारे शहर में या हमारे स्टेट में ऐसे ही चलता है. That is wrong, a wrong thing to do. So you're beginning on the wrong foot. You're building a structure which does not meet the requirements of a decent hotel, and then you're stuck with it because the shell is ready, you've invested, and there's no way to change it. So my recommendation is that for people who are intending to get into the hotel business, reach out to us. Advice is for free. Once you begin engaging with us, that is a commercial activity. But before that, even if you spend the first penny, spend the money wisely.
Sure. In last couple of days, we have been interacting with a lot of hotel owners, and we come across 2 unique situations. The first unique situation is that hotel owners are ready to give their property to the brand for conversion. The only criteria is that they want to give it as in wherein basis. Okay, so they say that you take the property. I don't have right now any cash to invest in the PIP or property improvement plan. I don't have a cash to invest in the rebranding exercise. You take the property you earn, and you manage whatever money come, you invest in the PIP, property improvement plan, as well as rebranding the hotel. And second, a lot of hotel owners, they have taken a loan from the bank and which need to be serviced. Definitely we have a first moratorium over, second moratorium is also there, but I don't think so going forward RBI will have a third moratorium, but they also expect a brand to perform. So in this kind of a scenario, I have a multiple things to ask. Is the brand gonna to have a relaxed kind of an HMA or hotel management agreement or a revenue share or a hotel management agreement where the terms will be shortened, where they will okay with the performance clause, they will have some kind of a relaxation in the signing fee or deferment of the signing fee, and the PIP, the property improvement plan, is also deferred. Over to you, Cyrus, Sohail, and Azeez.
I think I've spoken enough, but I'm happy to speak too much. But can Santhosh take it, please?
Okay, so what do you want to do first? Meaning, I think you have asked 4 questions in one. So, will there be? Should hotel owners invest in adaptations, or sorry, should I say, when brands tell them that I want 150 rooms and I want a particular decor and I want this kind of a large area, though your hotel is say 130 rooms, for example. My advice to hotel owners is, um, don't invest with brands which makes it hard for you to enter the business, number one. Which means brand adaptations, specific to brand adaptations, that is not something which is friendly to the owners, number one, unless the brand is paying for it. If it's software adaptations, please be sure, please go ahead and do it. And there will be some adaptations required. And there will be some basic hotel specific requirements which are required for that kind of category of hotels. That is required. You can't compromise on that. A brand does not become a brand unless there is something differentiating to it. Also, we need to keep that in mind and then invest. Your question of PIP, project improvement, property improvement plan. Yes, property improvement plan. If I get a hotel, will I go ahead and do that? Do without PIP? Depends really property to property. Correct? Meaning, if I say or Cyrus says or any of us say no, we can go ahead and brand any hotel. Then we are not a brand. Then probably we are an aggregator. We are no more a brand. A brand has its unique characteristics, so there will be some amount of PIP required. Number one. Can some of it be deferred? Yes. What is essential should be done. What can be deferred should be deferred next year or the year after that. Can the brand invest in that? In some cases, the brand might be ready to invest if there is a return on that as well. Because remember, the brand fees or the management fees don't pay for these things. Correct? So if there can be a win-win in this, you will think. But so that's just my view. I don't know if I've missed any question of yours, Vijay.
No. Sohail, what's your take on this?
Yeah, so we've done a few hotels where we've kind of staggered the PIP. What we've done with this is that the hotel continues in its current branding till a certain level of PIP is achieved. Okay, so effectively what happens is that the current branding of the hotel, say XYZ, continues to be XYZ till we reach that base level of PIP that's required in the hotel. And then at that stage, we look at rebranding. But in the interim, what we've been able to do is put in the SOPs, start some funnel, clean up the sales funnels for the hotels, start introducing it to the market. Then when it's rebranded, the transition is that much quicker. We've done this for a couple of hotels. When we restarted the hotel, as in when we took over the hotel, we were able to do about a 15% increase in the business of the hotel. And post rebranding, it was another 25% increase in the business of the hotel. So in totality, it was about a 35% jump in terms of business for the hotels. Branding really does increase the sales portfolio of the hotel because it creates that visibility for it. In terms of your other questions, them asking for a kind of a guarantee for the performance. Performance guarantees, I think most brands do have performance clauses in their contracts,
Sure.
which I think are negotiable contract to contract. In terms of tenure, you'll find very little flexibility in terms of tenure because, as Cyrus said, this is a trust game, right? And the brand is trying to create trust. So we don't want to be putting a flag on a hotel one day and the next day knocking it off. There's a whole list of issues with that in terms of your future bookings. How do you handle that? So effectively, there has to be a lengthy tenure for a brand to get associated.
Azeez?
Yeah, so I think Santhosh and Suhail pretty much covered that. I think I'll just add saying that, for any agreement to really be sustainable, any relationship between an owner operator, lessor, be sustainable, the contract really needs to be balanced on all counts for both parties. Today, simply because someone's in a desperate situation, if any of us tried to be opportunistic and tried to just pick up something, we are only creating a problem for ourselves a little for a few years later, whether it is in terms of a compromised product or clauses will come back and haunt us, so on and so forth. So while we are in a crisis sort of situation or an epidemic sort of situations, we have to remember that the contracts are going to outlive this, and perhaps they have to be ready to handle few more crises. In why 15 years, we like to even do contracts that are much longer, especially when we do our leases. So really it needs to be thought through in a balanced manner, and you may have a structured in one way in one contract and may be different in another way. That's, like I said, a matter of negotiation and how people are doing, but what's really demanded of that conversation. But the things that you need to build into the contract have to really play out for a much longer period, not just the COVID days. And I think that backdrop is how you kind of both sides should be taking various calls for the relationship to be really sustainable.
Okay, when we negotiate a contract, we say that like owner is ready, he has already agreed to most of the terms and conditions. And in Hindi, we are saying that "Haathi nikal gaya pooch reh gayi." And there are a couple of points like deal breakers. So one of them is a arbitration center, exclusive area of protection, performance test, and termination. So going forward, are we going to see some relaxation in all these clauses, where we will promote more of the owners to come forward and give their property for a management contract or a franchise contract? Yeah, Santhosh, you can.
So, the way I see it, I do think that there will be relaxations in that. See, by the way, let's face it, the Indian brands anyway have arbitration in India. So I think that's easy and solved, correct?
See, Santhosh, the question from the owner is that if I'm signing an agreement in Durgapur, the expectation of an owner is that my arbitration center should be a Durgapur. So how do we tackle this? Because there are a lot of owners who want to give the property for a management contract, or they want to tie up with the brand, and there are 2-3 things which is stopping them. They don't know how it will unfold in the future. But arbitration, exclusivity clause, performance test, and termination. So yeah, besides.
So I think
Santhosh. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. So for example, that Durgapur example, most brands, I would think, and we would definitely be comfortable having an arbitration center in Calcutta, which is fair to both parties. So I think, you don't want to take it out of the state, and you need to be fair to the owner from an arbitration point of view. I don't think there's an argument there from most brands, number one. From a point of view of exclusivity or area of protection, as a brand, if I can't assure business to you, I have no reason to sign up another hotel, right? So I would be very happy giving an area of protection, but making sure that once you are successful, then allow me to do something more, and definitely even in that case, not near, say, the next 2 or 3 kilometers. So you see, the only cornerstone is be fair to the business, not even to the property owner. If you're fair to the business, everybody will be okay, correct? As far as performance is concerned, I do think going forward, performance test will be the norm, though it is already there. It'll be far more, practical. I would also think that it's probably time we look at performance-based fees, profitability-based fees probably as a large part of the fees. These are things that will happen now because you would see much more competition, going forward. So in all of this, the customers win, the property owners win. But I think as long as cornerstone being, like I said, be fair, be transparent to the owner. Like I'm from Mahindra, and I can't but be fair from the group perspective. And like all the companies around here, the Taj or Fern or Lemon Tree, we need to be fair to all stakeholders, including property owners. That's it.
Suhail?
So on the same question, effectively, there isn't really any option to it. It's an agreement. Okay, it's a long-term relationship. There's no question of us, signing an agreement today and then tomorrow changing terms, changing this thing. We're not those kind of operators. It's a long-term arrangement. It's a partnership, okay, that we're getting into, whereby we have to, adhere to certain terms in the contract. Arbitration, I'm not concerned about at all from this. India really doesn't matter which part of India the arbitration is. In terms of performance tests, we already have performance tests across most of the hotels, and it's really the essence of the agreement. If you don't have a performance test, why are you managing the hotel, right? So we're very comfortable with the performance test, and if it's a fair performance test, we have absolutely no issue with it.
So Sohail, like as an owner perspective, like if you are an owner and you are negotiating an agreement with the brand, what should be an ideal performance test for a brand? Like how do you do the performance test? It should be like it should be a GOP base or EBITDA base, or it should be a GSI, guest satisfaction index, or it should be an asset management level. So what should be an ideal performance test for a brand?
Personally, from an owner's perspective, I don't think GSI should really become a concern of theirs, because if the GSI is poor, it's going to effectively impact the GOP of the hotel. Okay, and at the end of the day, that's what the owner should be looking at. It's the GOP of the hotel, and the fact that the asset management to a certain extent can be put into it in terms of the asset level of maintenance. But that's also covered with other clauses in the agreement in terms of the PEP and things like that that's done. So I would primarily want them to focus primarily on the GOP, and there are different ways of doing it. One is you filter it from top line. So you say, okay, the revenue of the hotel should be so much. This is what you compete versus the other hotels, and your market penetration index should be X, Y, Z. A lot of hotels do it that way, where they define their market penetration index versus certain competition hotels. But another way to do it is the budget, an approved budget, which is the way we primarily do it. Approved budget between the owners and the operator, and we have to achieve a certain degree of that approved budget for the performance test to hold strong.
Sure. Yeah, Azeez.
So, see, if you're signing up a hotel in a market where you don't have enough qualified data sources of competition, then introducing concepts like RevPAR test or benchmark to certain other properties, etc., it doesn't make sense. I mean, you can get the satisfaction of putting it in the contract that mera hotel us wale hotel se acha hoga, but aapko data kya mil raha hai, it really comes down to that. Someone is giving you anything written on the backside of an envelope as their ARR. That doesn't really, it's not a fair benchmark. So sure. That's why like Sohail was saying, that it's in those cases that your mutual understanding and agreement on what the GOP of the hotel should be, or what the budget for that year should be, and you measure your performance against that. But yes, in mature markets where you have enough qualified data sources, it's very, very important for and fair to the owner that the brands also sign up to be measured against what the market is performing. So it could be a RevPAR test or GOP test or both. I mean, a lot of varies contract to contract, but really which one you pick or whether you pick both depends on how mature the market around you also is.
Cyrus, do you like to add something in this?
Yeah, so for us, we go by the GOP test. I think Santhosh, Suhail, and Azeez have spoken about what are the problems with doing anything else apart from the GOP test. As long as so we're not only talking about metro cities, we're talking about smaller towns. We're talking about non-metro cities. We're talking about state capitals, or maybe the second city in every state or third city. So ultimately, it's a business. The person is invested in the business for a return. The GOP is his most important activity because it covers both the revenue side and it covers the cost side. And especially in times like now, when there is minimal revenue or negligible revenue or maybe zero revenue, the knowledge and the capability of the brand to react fast enough and to bring down your operating cost when there is no business or when business is going to pick up very slowly, that is a test of the brand's success. And that is a measure of what you will be held against tomorrow, that during the time of COVID, what did you do? How did these 3 months or 6 months or 18 months elapse for you? That is going to be a very strong measure of your reputation building in the future. So it is not only about the revenue, it's not only about the cost, it's about actually, so like we often say that demand is not in your hands. You can work towards it, you can do whatever you have to do, but actually what is really in your hand is cost, which you can control, right? So you have to, if the GOP test is the critical test, and there are so many instances when people come up to you, hotel owners, prospective owners come up to you, who are getting into business with you or want to get into business. They say, in my city, the hotels do very well. Why? Because my friend told me that his friend owns a hotel and it is rocking. But then you do a quick search in front of him on Make My Trip for a Wednesday, and you see the rates on Make My Trip or any OTA channel, and you ask yourself, is this really what is the rate that you think you're going to get? Because this is, far below what you would come to discussing with me. So you said, my city, whenever we have a thing, the rates are all 5,000, 6,000. But on the OTA platform, on a weekday, you're seeing a rate at about 2,500, 3,000. Right. So there's a lot of understanding gap, which again, going back to what I previously said, has to be resolved in the owner's mind, especially in the mid-market where you're talking room inventories of 50 to 80 rooms. A whole degree of education has to be helped with the owner to make them understand what's really relevant for them or why are they getting into this business. I just want to go back quickly to the previous question about conversion. See, conversion is really consisting of three things. One is that the hotel has to be fully legal. And that is a major brand requirement. It's that your hotel and all its parts have to be legal. So that is the first check. The second check is the hotel's health condition right? Right. So in many cases, whether it is the MEP or whether it is the physical health of the hotel, that has to be right, which sometimes ready running hotels which are owned by individuals, over a span of time, they've begun to ignore certain areas. So they don't even go to the back of the house to see whether that level of the health quality of the back of the house is even something that they would be comfortable utilizing on their own. So if the health and the legality is right, then branding by and large should not be a problem, because even if you were to assume that a brand says that I need to do certain changes in a running hotel which is in a great location, at best you would need an assessment to say that it will be between 1 and 3 lakhs or 1 and 4 lakhs in the softer elements. You can refresh rooms in that price. So for 100 rooms, we're talking about 3 crores of rupees. So that is not difficult to do. Signage, etc., all thrown in. The fourth part is really the software cost. So that is sometimes becomes an issue because each brand works with a certain software. So legality, general health of the hotel, and software are your three major costs. And if your back of the house and your hotel is in general good health, you should not have a problem rebranding.
Okay. Cyrus, as you touched the subject of OTA, if I'm a standalone hotel owner and you are a chain of hotel, what kind of difference in commissions are there? Like if you negotiate with the OTA, so as a chain of hotel, if you are going, you negotiate a better if I'm a standalone hotel owner, I have certain, I have to pay a certain commission. Is that a very huge margin in that?
So look, obviously we don't have access to OTA contracts with individual hotel owners,
Yeah.
but one hears a full range of discussion. Actually, sometimes it is, I think, just like any other business activity, it is not one rule for everybody. From what one understands, it is very opportunistic. So in some cases, in some locations where hotel supply is very minimal, I've heard of rates going up from 22 to 25%. In some, sorry, where the supply is minimal, I've heard about 12% also. Where supply is large, I have heard 22%. So I think they also do the same thing about saying that, okay, if I have to show a certain location on my destination list of hotels being available, and there is only one hotel over there or two hotels, then if they negotiate well with me, then I can drop my rates of commission. But if it's a location which is highly dense in terms of hotel inventory, then they are on top of the game.
Sure. So, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So Vijay, there are two parts here. One is effectively there may be a small difference in terms of commission level between a non-branded to a branded. The size and scale automatically creates that variation. But it's also the question of the volume, right? And the volume that you get from post-branding is much more than the volume that you would get as a standalone.
True.
So that's
So now coming to yeah. So what are the different marketing activities and the chain marketing activities been provided by the branded hotel? How brand reservation works, and what are our loyalty program works, and how it can advantage to the standalone hotel owner?
So I think in Lemon Tree's case, I think, and that's a very important point that you brought up. I think one of the biggest things that a brand will get you is the loyalty program.
Sure.
If they have a robust loyalty program, if they have an engaged loyalty program, and if the brand is itself driving the process of increasing the base on the loyalty program by actual efforts, and how are they able to engage their customers? So we find that whenever we open a hotel in a totally new location, so in a city that we don't have presence, the initial traffic into that hotel, apart from all the contracting and all, because everybody seems to open hotels last minute because the last license comes in and you open the hotel. But in the managed portfolio, but we find that we are able to leverage the loyalty program very heavily to begin the initial flow of traffic into the hotel. So that's a very key component of what a brand gets you.
Okay. And Cyrus, how the loyalty program charges work? Because whenever we negotiate a hotel management agreement, there is always an ambiguity on a loyalty charges, like how it is charged, whether it will be based on the volume of turnover, like it will be linked to the revenue, or it will be linked to some other things.
So in our case, it's very simple. It is 3% of the net room revenue of every materialized reservation.
Okay.
So if of a loyalty program member.
Yeah.
So if a loyalty program member is coming, then during his stay, when he's come over there, then 3% of his net room revenue, which takes off all the other inclusions, which does not include taxes, does not include F&B, does not include anything else that he may have used. The pure room yield, on that it is 3%.
Okay.
And that is what it is with us. And any loyalty program customer enrollment at a hotel, for that we do not have fees.
Okay. Azeez, you like that?
Yeah, just adding to what Cyrus said about loyalty programs. See, very often, in negotiation of contracts, or when first-time owners talk to brands about loyalty program, it's really seen as a cost. आपके loyalty program की क्या cost है? ये तो आपकी fee है. Loyalty program की क्या cost है? See, I think it's important for everyone to understand that if the customer is not coming through the loyalty program, he is coming through maybe an OTA or another commission channel. So the loyalty program is actually your most cost-effective channel through which customers are walking into your doors. As against, say, Cyrus mentioned 3% or whatever whatever percentage you may be, a brand may be charging as loyalty charges. Compare that to the double digit or a high double digit percentage that you would be paying if that same customer walked through an OTA. So the right way to look at a loyalty program is as another channel, and in that it is the most efficient channel that you have, because it has minimal acquisition cost and it has minimal transaction cost to the owners, and that's a huge value add that brands bring. I'm sure everyone here can boast of a high percentage of their customers being repeat guests or coming through the loyalty program. So every loyalty guest is essentially saving of the entire commission that you would otherwise pay, and ensures repeat business.
That's a critical piece. Why? Because one thing that owners have to, when they're getting into the business of the brand, have to understand is that loyalty program, even if you're a loyalty program member and you're making a hotel room booking through an OTA or through a travel agent, then in that stay you do not get points as a customer. So it is only when you come from a non-commissionable source, and this is, it's interesting why you Azeez brought it up, is that so many people don't understand this and get very worried about the fees when they read your agreement draft, saying that I'm paying double dip, I'm paying this also and that also. Why should I pay both? You know what I'm trying to say? So it's this whole education piece is very important in that you're not actually you're getting a beneficial revenue source by the loyalty program rather than a non-beneficial revenue source.
Sohail, you like to add something in this?
So it's just so in the loyalty game, actually, India is still significantly behind the international players here. Okay, so the Indian operators here have a bit of a weakness behind the international operators, but our loyalty base is primarily domestic, and given the crisis that we're going to go through for the next 12 months, it's going to be primarily driven by domestic movement. So that's where then our loyalty programs really step in to try and fill the gap there.
Okay, so just tell us something about your RSOs, regional sales offices, and how much RSO do contribute in the sales in the managed hotels.
So for us, our entire portfolio is managed. So a lot of it is driven by the regional sales offices. We've got 9 regional sales offices across. 22% of the business across India right now is driven through the regional sales offices alone.
Okay. Azeez, you like to add something on your strength of regional offices?
So the way we look at our business is B2B and retail. The entire B2B piece is driven by the RSOs, which is about 50% of our business. So 50% is really commission contracted business driven by the regional sales teams. In the balance, 50% it splits between OTA and our proprietary channels. And our proprietary channels at different points in time and different properties produce anything between 12 to 25% of the rest of the things, and the balance comes through sort of third-party channels. So it's a significant share of direct channels, whether it is contracted, hotel sales, call center, website, which is really been contributing to the business into our hotels.
Okay. So Cyrus, going forward, are you going to see a lot of hotel owners coming to your brand or either Ginger or Fern? They might be asking for a franchise. They said, oh, we have a hotel running experience and we've been doing this from last 5, 10, 15 years. What we required is only a brand and a sales and marketing and a distribution channel. So going forward, you see a lot of franchise will be happening. A lot of owners will be coming asking for a franchise. I don't know whether you are thinking for going for a franchise, but a lot of international companies, they are into franchise and they are doing fairly good in other markets. So, do you think in future
this goes against the grain of what your principle is, right? You wanted full-fledged conversion, so it's franchise is not full-fledged conversion.
Yeah, it's a half marriage.
Yeah. So the point is that in the managed portfolio, whatever we have, I think they understand what we bring to the table, especially after this whole COVID case.
Because till now, I know Lemon Tree, there is no franchise, but the portfolio you have for the Keys hotels.
In Keys, we have some franchise.
Yeah, a few franchises.
Franchise requires a very diligent partner on the other side.
Yeah.
And as a brand in a franchise, a brand is at a brand level is much more valuable than an asset.
Yeah.
And therefore the partner that comes to the table has to have that experience and has to have that intention to run it within the ambit of the brand's brand book, if you want to call it that. So yeah, so this is something that we have not actively pursued as Lemon Tree. Now we've acquired Keys, and Keys has some hotels in franchise. It's something that we are discussing, but it is right now our first intent is to still focus on the management, the buy, and the leasing side of the business rather than franchise currently.
Okay. Sohail, you like to comment something on that?
Uh, Not really effectively. Franchising is not a route that we want to take going forward. Uh, we still believe that we need to factor in and to earn the trust of the travelers and to keep that trust strong. So for that, some level of control in terms of operating the asset is definitely essential. Though in our
Okay.
economy brand beacon, we may consider franchising maybe about 6 months down the line.
Okay. Cyrus, going forward, like, would Lemon Tree be interested for a third-party management, because there are a lot of international franchise brands are coming up, and they don't offer a management service. And a lot of time, hotel owners are looking for a third party to manage the asset. So going forward, do you think like a third-party management would be an option for Lemon Tree?
So currently there is no discussion on this,
Okay.
and for us the whole purpose of doing management actually is to increase the network and the reach of the brand, because we've got substantial owned assets, we've got very large owned inventory, and we do management because it helps us to aid the sales network process.
Yeah.
So if tomorrow we argue the point on third party management, it
Yeah.
defeats the purpose of why we are doing it, because we are not here only for the fees.
Sure.
So for us, third party management is not a discussion.
Okay. So, Azeez, tell us something more about the Ginger and the Lean Lux model, which you have launched recently. Like, we have seen a lot of rebranding of Ginger Hotels. Is going for a more of a lifestyle brand, which was earlier pursued as a budget hotel. Yeah.
Right. So, as most of the audience would know, Ninja was launched as a functional smart basics brand to provide a value offering for the customer at the bottom of the pyramid. And it was the pioneer in the branded economy accommodation space. Um, what we've done now, though, over the last year or so, is that we've really upped the game and brought in a lifestyle element to the whole offering. So, if you've seen any of the images or have been to any of our lean lux hotels, as we call them, they are not fixated on a certain price point that they have to sell at, like a 1 lakh rupee nano or a 999 rupee room.
Sure.
We have a free spaces. We have a restaurant that we run on our own, which wasn't the case in the original model of the Ginger. We have a lot of customer engagement touch points in the restaurant, in the rooms, etc. So that while continuing to be a mid-segment business-focused offering within the same architectural envelope, there's a lot of re-engineering that has been done on the product, service, technology, how the associates are conducting themselves with the guests, etc., to make the whole hotel experience a lot more vibrant and fun. And I'm happy to say that it's been received quite well, because even if you're a pure business customer, if your hotel is well located and takes care of the functionality, and on top of that delivers it with a little bit of fun, then people are happy to spend time in the lobbies of such hotels, or want to stay in these hotels, because they give them a little more, they engage you as a human being more. And that's what we're trying to do with the new Lean Lux Ginger. And I'd say that the response from the customer side, as well as from the developer and the investor community, has been very, very strong. In the last financial year, we ended up signing 12 contracts, 1,250 rooms, which is possibly the highest in the country under a single brand. And wherever we converted our hotels or opened new Lean Lux hotels, we saw ARR lifts of more than 20%. So in the same location, in the same architectural envelope, with this whole repositioning and revised communication and go-to-market approach, we were able to kind of, provide much more richer experience and on better revenues. So of course, COVID is here. It'll be behind us hopefully sooner than later. But we remain committed to our sort of growth story with the Lean Lux brand. Whether leases or management contracts, we'll continue to pursue them hard.
Coming to you, Santhosh, like we have seen Mahindra Holidays either own the hotels or lease the property. But going forward, what is the expansion strategy? You're gonna do again, keeping to a buying spree or leasing, or either you're also looking at a management contract? Should I repeat the question?
So you can hear me, Vijay, clearly?
Yeah.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, very clear.
I couldn't hear you well, but you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay. So, Mahindra Holidays has always had its own properties, or it has leased properties. We also take room inventory in, independent hotels or branded hotels for our members. Going forward, will we continue the leasing? If that is a question, yes, we will continue the leasing because we are the biggest lessees in hospitality. We are invested in leasing in a huge manner. Will we go and acquire resorts? Surely we will acquire resorts. We are in the market to acquire resorts as we speak. So there is no reason for us not to acquire resorts over the next year, 2 years, whatever the timeline is, as per our requirements. From a management point of view, as probably you would have seen in the papers, we are in the throes of, launching a hotels business, which will be meaning from Mahindra Holidays hotels business, not the current vacation ownership business. So that's something we are launching, and these will be basically hotel management, hence management contracts mostly. Might be we will do some leases as well in that. So yeah, so it will be a mix of models going forward. The good part about Mahindra Holidays is, our business is slightly unique. We have members. We have 258,000 of them, and so that's a large member base. For the industry today, we provide room nights worth about approximately 5 crores a month in value, and not to our own hotels. I'm saying to other hotels and resorts. So that's something which we will bring to the table with the new business, for the hotels as such. So we will bring in a lot of strengths of the Mahindra Group, Mahindra Holidays into the new hotels business as we go along. Now, you can see in the post-COVID scenario as well that our resorts obviously will bounce back much faster because we are far more resilient. Our model is resilient. Our occupancies already for July are about 40-50% as per our booking trends. So that's typically the case. So that's the kind of business we do at Mahindra Holidays.
Okay. So coming to you, we have seen in the past, Fern has done a lot of conversion. Would you like to share some successful story of conversions with the audience?
So we actually have about 10% of our inventory in the Fern brand that is converted, that were differently managed, and we've got a larger 50% of our hotels in the Beacon brand, which is the economy brand, which is through conversion. It's easier to do a convert in the economy brand than it would be in the mid-scale to upscale brands. In terms of success stories, we've seen a lot of success stories, properties in Bangalore, properties in Goa, which after rebranding have seen in excess of 50% growth in their business. Okay. There are two types of conversions really. We did a conversion for a property in Aurangabad. So this is a good 20-year-old hotel, but it was shut for 1 year, completely refurbished, completely redone and reopened into the market. It opened with a staggering 80% occupancy in the first month. So there are different ways to do the conversion, and the success actually depends on how we go ahead and do those conversions.
Good. Coming to you, Cyrus, like recently Lemon Tree has launched Aureka brand in Udaipur, and you're also coming up with the Aureka in Mumbai. So how was the response of market for Aureka brand? Like, can you tell us how a guest has pursued Aureka brand?
So it's the first one. It opened in October,
Yeah,
and it's obviously a fabulously built property.
yeah,
It's raised the bar for us as a company in terms of what products we are bringing. So it's been very well received. People are enjoying the environs, the service. We've set up an entire new team of people who are actually providing it. So it's a completely refreshed thinking. It is actually five-star deluxe thinking. So in that sense, that kind of quality of people and that kind of quality of products and services have been brought to the fore. And the first year, given that it's the first year and destinations take time to kind of get recognized, I think the reception has been terrific. So we are very happy with that.
okay.
As far
So,
as the Mexico airport goes, that will take some time.
okay. So my last question to all the panelists is, what is your advice for the future hotel owner who's putting a fresh equity or a fresh investment for a development? This question is to all the panelists.
I think Vijay to say who to speak.
Okay, Azeez, we start with you. Like,
I think I alluded to this a little earlier when we were discussing the advice to
yeah,
the owner. I think build the hotel for the right reasons. What Cyrus said, take advice, whether free or paid, before you commit your monies to it, so that you've measured 10 times before you actually draw the line on paper, and then be fully aware of the fact that this is a long-term commitment that you're making. That
sure.
the commitments also go both ways. It's not that you buy a hotel and then you expect to sort of pay money every month to send to the bank. So you have to be fully cognizant of what your obligations remain. Only then remains a relationship rewarding and meaningful. Have faith in the brands. Deliver you will work with the right people. It'll pay in the long term.
I think we lost Azeez. Sohail, we can start with you. Yeah.
Yeah, so for a new property, effectively, there are two major points. One is first ensure that you've tied up all your finances, because as we've seen today, if you don't have a proper structure, proper plan for all your finances in place from day one, do not start your hotel. Do not start construction, don't start with investing a rupee. Okay, so get your finances in place, then look at a new development in today's day and age. After that, then by all means, build smart, choose the right partners, go smart from the beginning, and you will do well. The market will see a shrink in supply in the foreseeable future. So I think 3 years from now, the hotel industry is going to be at a peak whereby the supply would have not grown and demand would have outpaced significantly. So we will see very good times 3 years from now.
Sure. Santhosh, what's your advice for a owner who's investing fresh capital in the market?
So I said it, I started it by
Yeah,
saying that this is the best time to invest in the
sure.
business. In the last 20 years, there is no better time than this. And I reiterate that, which means you should be able to get into this business at the lowest cost, should I say, So because that will determine your success, number one. Number two, obviously, like Suhail said, that please tie up your finances. Make sure that you don't overspend. That you have a brand tied up. All of that has to be done. Don't take excessive debt. Anything more than 40%, I would say, in the current times, for the next 3-4 years, is going to be a disaster. Also, get into the business now, because there is not much supply which will come for the next 3, 4, 5 years. So this is a great time, but even by that standard, to get into the business. As far as selecting a partner is concerned, select somebody who is transparent, select somebody who has a long-term view, select a reputed party, and who will actually provide you, again, return on the investment, return on your. So that's important, right? And can be a real partner in the long term. I think that's really it. This is a partnership game, a long-term partnership, like Azeez mentioned, and all of the other panelists mentioned. So that's all what owners need to keep in mind.
Sure. Cyrus, closing remarks
So
from you.
everybody spoke about homework, do your diligence, choose the right partner, etc. In choosing the partner, I have only one point to make, which is that the discussion around choosing a partner is not only about fees, it's about infrastructure. So if the bandwidth of the brand that you're choosing does not allow them to provide you the support that you need, and sometimes the support could be very person to person, so you need enough people, and you need to be able to pay those people at a brand level to be able to provide you support. That infrastructure to provide you support has to be there. So that is on the getting into the business part of the story. Finance, do your homework, get your legalities right, build it correctly. The second part is stay engaged. It's like a marriage. So whether you're man or woman, whichever gender, if you're in the kitchen as the owner of the hotel, don't teach the chef how to make dal masala. He'll make it.
True.
He knows how to make it. He's been trained. Or the brand will teach him. Just like you don't go into the kitchen and teach your spouse to make anything, right? They're capable of making it. But if you start nitpicking and say my mother didn't make it like this, that is where you're in trouble. So you have to stay engaged. We're not saying that don't engage. Engage yourself. Don't disengage. That's even worse, because then you're creating two separate silos in the hotel. So stay engaged. Remain an investor. Remain an auditor. Remain passionate about the business, but treat it like a marriage. Don't be nitpicky. That's important.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, panelists. We had a lot of
I
serious
saw, I
discussion on
saw Suhail smiling. Is he married or not married?
I married 2 kids,
So
and I
he
always get into that trouble of telling them I'm
got
out of
the reference right away.
food.
we had a lot of serious discussion. So we'll have a quick fire chat with all the panelists. And I want Cyrus to revert first. Sorry, I want Azeez to revert, then Cyrus, then Sohail and Santhosh. We're going to have a quick question, which you have to reply me in one sentence. You will get an option. You have to reply me quickly on that. So to start with Azeez, then Cyrus, Sohail, and Santhosh. So Azeez, given the choice of transaction, which transaction you like to do first? What is your liking for a transaction? Management contract, franchise, revenue sharing, lease? Which you
Revenue.
pick? Revenue sharing. Cyrus?
For us, actually, it is more opportunities, obviously, on the buy side. So if it makes a lot of sense to increase the valuation of the company, that's always welcome. Management is equally welcome.
Sohail?
Management contract.
Santhosh? Santosh, if you have to choose a choice of your transaction, so what will you prefer? Management contract, franchise, revenue sharing, leads, or you would like to buy only?
So it really depends on the objective. For us,
So your choice. It is your
I would
personal
tell
choice.
you that leasing, if done well, can. Sorry?
Is your personal choice
So
like
I'm saying between leasing, revenue share, and management.
yeah.
Personal choice, I would say a revenue share more than a management contract, because management contract, does not give you the kind of profitability actually, and it also places the onus on both. The revenue share places the onus on both the owner and the operator. So I would prefer a revenue share compared to a management contract.
Okay. And
Sorry,
if I
I'm going
ask all
slightly
the
different from many people, but that's what I would think.
okay, so if tomorrow all you panelists like to invest in a hotel asset, so what it could be, whether it could be a boutique hotel, mid-market hotel, upscale or luxury, where you have to put your hard-earned money. So which kind of hotel you like to put money? Boutique, mid-market, upscale or luxury?
I'd put it definitely in a mid-market hotel.
Cyrus?
Mid-market.
Sohail?
I'd put in a boutique leisure hotel just for the purpose so that there's somewhere to go on holiday.
Okay, Santhosh?
My view is it should be a
you don't
leisure
have
because leisure is the future. Leisure, there are not enough brands. Yeah, so I'm saying leisure.
leisure.
My view
Okay,
is it should be leisure and it should be upscale.
upscale.
I would do that.
Okay. Sure. So, given like if you have a given to like if you are
Yes.
given an option to work in a unit, this is a slight
I think you could
question.
not hear. I said leisure and upscale.
Leisure upskill, yeah. So, given the choice to all the panelists to work in a unit, what kind of role you will choose? Front office manager, finance controller, chef, housekeeper, or engineering? You have to give answer quickly, Azeez.
Okay, I'll say engineering because I have a degree in engineering that I've never used in my life. Maybe I can put it to some good use now.
Okay, Cyrus.
F&B manager.
Okay, Sohail.
Chef, because I've really practiced my culinary skills in the last 2 months.
Okay, great. Santhosh. So
I
your
couldn't
option
hear
is
you when you
finance
said
controller,
what.
chef,
Sorry, I think
housekeeping, and
I'm
engineering.
having trouble on the band.
Santosh, your option is front office manager, finance controller, chef,
Chef, housekeeper.
housekeeping and engineering. So which role you like to pick up? Like if you're given a choice to work in a unit, like if you are to work in a unit, which role you will choose?
Chef.
Chef. Yeah. So we have like 75% audience, 75% panelists wanted to choose and go for a F&B and chef. Okay. So I will give you some option, and you have to tell me what are the likely recovery of the market as per the option. Are you gonna to see recovery as a U, V, M, L, or W? U, V, M, W, L. Aziz?
I think it's going to be a soft W, not a W with very sharp edges, but it'll be a meandering W.
Okay. Cyrus?
Well, the U depends upon how long the U is, right? So for us, I think it's U. Now, how wide is it on the U is a matter of conjecture, but I think a number is better. I think people are saying 18 months to a full recovery.
Okay, so if you have to select between the recovery, whether you select U, V, W, M, or L.
I would also probably go with a U,
Okay.
just because we don't know how quickly the recovery is going to happen. It would definitely probably be a U-shaped recovery.
Okay, Santhosh.
So I think it's anybody's guess, actually. So in my view, it will take another 18 months for the industry to come back. So V shape, U shape, I don't know about the shapes, actually. So I can't comment. Not an expert.
Okay, fine. So last question in the fire chat: a new skill which you have learned during the lockdown.
I'm trying to learn how to fly a kite with my 2 sons. I didn't do it as a kid. Now I'm learning to do it.
Okay, Cyrus.
New skill? Well, I think I'm getting used to webinars. That's a mind-breaking, back-breaking skill, yeah. Sitting on a chair for 1 hour and not shifting around.
Sohail.
So, done a bit of gardening. So I think that's probably the most gardening I've done also in the last 2 months.
Santhosh.
So are you? Sorry, I didn't hear the question. Vijay,
So
I'm
the
having a lot of
question is,
trouble on this.
what are new skill you have learned during the lockdown? What new skill you have learned during the lockdown?
No, I agree with Cyrus. It's actually attending these webinars, and the number of webinars that happens today, and actually, I would say along with webinars, doing work digitally. Literally, that's that's what we have done much more than
That's the
any other
future, right?
time, much more than meaning any other time earlier.
That's the future, Santosh. Like all of us will gradually will shift everything to the online now.
I
So thank
doubt
you,
it. It's
panelists.
a starting
Uh,
phase. 18
Thank you,
months
panelists.
after that,
Yes, Cyrus.
I said 18 months, man. After that, it's 10 flights a month.
Okay. So thank you, panelists, for your
Enjoying
time. It's really a very enlightening session. I think there are a lot of hotel owners who are listening and they have might make up their mind. So we'll get back to you with their wish list also. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time and participation.